Excuse me, it's my breakfast tea right now.
Good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing out there? This Mike. I'm back with From Pain to Purpose podcast. Got a special Sunday morning edition with my good brother Malcolm Glover, man. What's up, Malcolm? Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you for having me, and greetings to everybody who may be online. We appreciate the support.
Indeed. I known this brother for the last 4 years, and I just appreciate the zeal and the work that he puts in, especially for a brother his age and things of that nature. So we're gonna get into letting him tell how everything happened, man. So Malcolm, take us back to growing up in Newark, New Jersey, man, and what was your earliest memories and what was life like growing up out there?
Man, so born and raised in Newark. Both parents did their best to provide, to be there for me, to guide. I've been through every level of schooling in Newark. I actually went to 13th Avenue Elementary School.
Mm.
Um, uh, as far back as I remember there, I started there in maybe seventh grade. This picture I probably was like maybe in first grade here. The second, it might have been like 7 or 8. But
Hmm.
it was cool. You know, at this time, we just solely focused on academics. You know, that was one of the
Mm.
things that my parents instilled in me. Like, yo, you got to go to school and give it your best to try to set up, a future for yourself. So, at this time, I was a pretty good student. Um, throughout elementary, I was like typically in the gifted and talented classes. I was
Mm.
pretty much a straight A student. I tried to focus on that for as long as I was able to. But as you get older, other things start to come in and serve as I don't want to say a distraction, but focus may get shifted onto other things based on your surroundings. But at this point, man, it was smooth sailing. I, had, as I mentioned, my parents helping me throughout the process. I was pretty focused and a pretty good student at this time, so it was all good as of right now.
How was it for you having both parents in the household? Was that something common with you and your friends in your neighborhood, or was you the rare one that had both parents?
It means everything. Like even like now when we look into statistics and things of that nature, like a lot of the young adults that get into criminality, that get into different things, the overwhelming majority, I think it's something like 70 percentile, something like
Hmm.
that, didn't grow
Hmm.
up with their father. So that makes a huge difference. And my experience, there was some dads
Hmm.
around, but it wasn't like everybody. It wasn't something that everybody had. Like in our neighborhoods, unfortunately, with our people, single mom household is far too common,
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
and that causes a lot of our young brothers to act out. They don't have the proper guidance to help bring about the balance because that's
Mm.
what parenting is. Mother and father is a balance that they both can instill into the child. And without one, of course, it'll be out of order.
Yeah, I know when I grew up, it was like none of the guys around my way had their fathers, so it was like subconsciously I made myself believe that this is normal. But then those behaviors start to take effect later on. So when somebody dad came around, it was kind of like a holiday, like, yo, such and such dad is over here. He bought him a bike, he did this, like, and it's a shame that we was programmed to be in that nature. You know what I mean? So then you moved on to high school, man. Science Park High School, the Chargers, man. Take
Hmm.
me back to the day you walked in there and how did you deal with the new environment?
I think the first day I walked in, you get like a summer bridge program. Like it's like a little transition period that high schools do for like I think it may have been like a month where you
Uh-huh.
come in and get a feel for the high school life coming out of elementary school. So that's when you get your first impression of the kids around you. And I'll say that the only few friends that I still have today, like that I consider friends from the outside, I met them here. I met them in my first
Mm.
month, like of being there. We just, remained close ever since. Like one of them, he lives in Virginia. He came up here last week. you know. So we went out to get some food last week, but it started here, so it allowed for me to have some relationships that's now what, since I was 14, 20-year relationships. School was cool. Grades wasn't quite as good as they was in elementary school. Elementary school, I graduated second in my class. Now in high school, I'm like, C plus,
But
B.
science is a school like you got to get like selected to go there or something, right? It's like
Yeah,
everybody there supposed to be super smart, right?
yeah. It's called a magnet school. So in Newark, you have a couple of those like Science Park, Arts High,
Okay, okay.
University. You got a test to get in. But for me, like a select group of us was recruited there for basketball. So
Mm,
maybe like 10, 12 kids
okay.
recruited there. But of course, we still had to keep up the grades in order to maintain it. But our initial contact came from our basketball coach. You know,
Mm,
um, as I mentioned, the older you get, the more distractions and less focus goes into academics. Although it shouldn't necessarily be like that, or it's not like that for every kid. That's how it was for me. So grades got down to like maybe like a B,
mm,
occasional C, because now I'm playing basketball. You're getting into meeting females and doing extracurricular things in high school that you wasn't
mm-hmm.
quite focused on at a younger age. But I mean, I would say it was a good experience in high school. Also, it helped shape my future.
And you was playing with the Science Park Chargers, Coach Gaylord, the coach. Remember, good guy, man, good dude. How was it experience of winning state titles, man? Like everybody won't get a chance to experience that.
Yeah, yeah. He was. I don't want to say too strict, but he was very disciplined. I think that's a better word, and that kind of made the team embody his personality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So coach will pop up on you in class to see if you messing around. Like, so we gotta make sure that we on point, because if our grades ain't right, we can't play ball, and that's what everybody loves to do. Like,
mm-hmm.
that was unfortunately priority number one. Like, we was focused on that, maybe even more so on our schoolwork, but you can't have one without the other. So his discipline was definitely needed. I still hear him in my head sometimes.
That's dope.
He always used to tell us, because like I said, he'll pop up sometimes. You are who you are when no one's watching, right? So
Character.
that's the real you. I could put on a front if I know I'm being watched, but when I think everything is free, right, and I can do whatever I want, that behavior is who you really are. So that, I mean, I graduated high school in '06, and that's still in
Mm,
my head today.
indeed, indeed, indeed. So then you start to get off the porch and indulge in the other lifestyles. What coming from a two-parent household and them trying the best they could, what provoked you to still want to taste that life?
um, I would have to say bad decision making. Like, when I fast forward a little bit, when I got to
Mm-hmm.
like my senior year, like not even the beginning, like towards the end of the senior year, like during the summer and stuff, I started experimenting with different things. I started smoking weed, right?
Mm,
House tobacco. We was unfortunately in our neighborhood, we could go to the liquor store at 17 and 18 and just buy liquor, and ain't nobody asking you no questions. We don't got
mm-hmm.
no facial hair, but they'll let us still just go buy whatever we want. So just having access to certain things led me to be kind of curious. Trying it led me to actually liking it at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
it led me to hiding that from my parents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Now it's like I know they wouldn't approve of that, and I don't
mm.
want to like make them ashamed or get in trouble at that time, or make them feel like they failed. So I would kind of keep it away, and I would try to do everything to not show that I'm high or whatever. So I'm trying to put eye drops in my eyes and act normal and all of that. But my mom looking at me like, "Boy, what's wrong with you?" It's like that just kind of led to a spiral effect that it kind of made me distance myself from my parents a little bit at that time, because I didn't want to put them to shame.
When you was going down the spiral, did you recall ever a point that it hit you that, yo, I'm going a little too far?
Not yet.
Mm.
not at that time. At that time, and again, I'm talking about like maybe like 18, 17 to 20, maybe or something
Mhm.
like that. It was just fun. I'm just
Mm.
having fun.
Indeed.
My
Indeed.
friends, they lived around the corner from me, whatever.
Mhm.
So I would just go walk around the block, and there goes the party. And it was so much to it led me to, like I said, rational decisions where at 18, my parents is like, and my dad is like, yo, Malcolm, you can't just be coming in my house at any time that you want to come home.
Mm.
Right? You gotta have some respect for the household. So I'm 18. My dad wanted me to come home at maybe like 10 o'clock or something like that, which is decent. It's not bad. It's not like being like over restrictive. But in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm trying to leave at 10 o'clock. Like, you know,
I know.
leaving at 10 o'clock, this ain't gonna work. Right? So
uh,
I actually moved out at 18. Probably
mm.
like 2 weeks after my birthday. I'm like, man, I got stuff I'm trying to do. You in the way. Like that's the mind that was my mindset at the time. So I left. But me
Mm.
leaving, right? I left stability. And now
Wow.
I'm into an unstable situation and I'm starting to have to fend for myself. Like I was bouncing around, like I lived with my friend for 2, 3 months. I lived with my sister for like a year, and during that time, I gotta fend for myself. I gotta produce. I gotta make money now because now I got bills because I wanted to be older or growner than I needed to be at that time. So
Mm.
now I gotta find ways to make money. And I was still going to school. Right at this time, I
Mhm.
was in Essex County,
Mhm.
and I was working like at FedEx, I think it was. But FedEx is a part-time job, so I still needed money. So I started hustling at that time.
Mm.
In addition to going to school, in addition to having a part-time job, because now I need money to eat. I gotta help pay the rent now. When at home, I ain't have to do none of that. Mom's made dinner for me. It's on the table when I come home. Bills already paid, but being grown, I put myself, behind the eight ball, so to speak.
At what point did the hustling? Because I've seen this a million times. I never experienced it, but I have friends that went down that road. And at one point, did the hustling seem to go from a necessity to a lifestyle?
Uh, by the time maybe I was like 20, maybe like 21,
Mm.
maybe like again, it was towards the beginning, it was just something that it gave me a couple of dollars. So I might make
Mhm.
$100 here, may have some weed to smoke. So now it just helped me supplant the little money that I have that I'm getting from my job. But as I got older, now I'm like 20, between like 21 and 23, right? I had a pretty good job. I was working for the city of Newark.
Mhm.
Cory Booker was still in office. So, I was making pretty decent money at that time, but I was like really into the lifestyle now. Like we jumping
Mhm.
around in hotels, we going to
Mhm.
different cities, we down in like Monmouth County, and now it's not weed no more, it's other things, that I
Mhm.
get
Mhm.
money much faster and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And one day I made a bad decision. I remember I was already with my wife at the time. I had rented a car with somebody.
Mhm.
He's like, don't do it, don't do it.
Mhm.
But I still did it. And right at this time, we would switch cars, like we would trade. Like I would have it for a day, he would have it for a day, and he got into a police chase. Right?
Mm.
The cops didn't catch him, but they caught the license plate, and the
Mm.
license plate is registered to me. So now I'm getting letters in the mail talking about I'm eluding the police and all of that stuff like that. So one day I'm with my friend, we leaving the hotel. We was in like East Brunswick, I think, North
Mhm.
Brunswick, something like that. We leaving and the cops pull us over. And little do I know I got a warrant.
Mm.
I didn't do nothing. I'm like I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? But because the
Mm.
car was registered to me, it came back to me. So I got a warrant. I ended up being in jail for like maybe a week, maybe like
Mhm.
5 days. But because I was a no show, no call at work when I was working for the city of Newark, I lost my job.
Mm.
So the lifestyle now caused me to lose my job even when I didn't actually do something.
Mhm.
Now it's on. I ain't got no job, you know what I'm saying? And I got all this free time. Now it's on. Now I'm knee deep in hustle because that's all I got now.
Mm. Mm. And at what point did the hustling turn to where it was like, all right, now we got to face some real consequences, that real jail time?
After maybe This was I was maybe like 23.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like 23 at this time. Had a couple of years to where I didn't run into any legal trouble, but naturally the lifestyle increased. So now I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
more drugs. I'm getting bigger packs. I'm making more money. I'm getting thousands of dollars a day. So now I done spoiled myself. Because at
Mm.
that point, I can buy what I want. I can do pretty much what I want when I want because I have the financial ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to about 20, maybe 5, maybe 26, I started getting little slaps on the wrist. Like I got
Mm.
pulled over one day, and I think I was in Roselle. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I was coming out the park in Roselle. The police pulled me over, and I had some weed in the car. Right, so now they arrested me. I go to the precinct. I got the money to bail myself out. I bail myself out. I'm out. But now it's starting to be a pattern. It's starting to be a
Mm.
track record, right? So again, maybe like another couple of months, I get arrested again. Similar situation. Now I got arrested 3, 4 times, and the slaps on the wrist is no longer as soft.
Mm.
But now it's like, all right, first it was a fine, right? Okay. Now look, now you're on probation. Okay, next time in Roselle, that was the one. Now you're on drug court, buddy. So drug court is like, as they say, one step away from jail. If you mess
Mm-hmm.
up on drug court, you're going down. So me still being hard headed, I'm on drug court. I'm still getting high, still selling drugs. And I was on it for about 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I started doing things a little different. Well, I outsmarted myself, thinking if I do it differently, I'm not going to get caught.
Uh-huh.
Right? But that shit always sells. It never stays that way. So then eventually I got arrested while I was on drug court, and that sent me to prison. So now
Mm.
more slaps on the wrist. During the process of going to court, me and my wife, we looking at the judge like it's a new judge. So
Mm.
so she was being very lenient with everybody, like people that we back in the cell thinking like, yo, he about to go to state prison or whatever. They coming back happy, like, yeah, they extended my probation, or they gave me another chance. So I'm like, oh, all right, I'm about to be out of here. I'm good. But when I go in front of the judge, she like, yo, you had all of these chances. At this time, they asked me like my educational background. It was like, yo, you're educated, you're smart enough to know what you're doing. You had a job, you had a family, you had support, and you still chose to do this. We're sending you to prison. So
Mm.
the things that I had that was good literally worked against me because
Mm.
you should know better. You know what I'm saying? At this time, I think I had graduated from Rutgers already. I think I had my bachelor's. I was like starting a business. I was trying to go to school for. I had just finished criminal justice, so I was entertaining going to school to be a lawyer at that time. Right? That's what I wanted. Or I used to like forensic science. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
watch shows and they solve a mystery with like a strand of hair or something like that. I was
Uh-huh.
so all that got flushed down the drain. Like I remember being in court, I started crying. I'm like, wasted everything. I was just frustrated because I'm like, yo, I really actually worked kind of hard to
Mm-hmm.
get to that point, but I'm also working against myself. So they sent me to prison for 2 years, man.
So now when you get in there, what it was like the first morning you woke up and it was a reality where you was at.
I remember. Well, let me back up real quick. This was right, like, cause initially before you go to prison, you're in a county, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
remember the first time I was in a county, like I didn't even eat for like a week, and not that I was trying to fast, but like I was just so out of it mentally. Like it was like 5 maybe days where I didn't eat. So my bunkie loved me because every tray I'm like, yeah, I don't want it, bro. You can have it. So now he eating a lot because I'm not wanting it. But then after all of the sentencing went and I actually got to state prison, that's when it's when it kicks in. Like I'm starting to add days, see how long I got to be here before I can go back, up north, because most of the jails is down in South Jersey. So
Mm.
my family is far from me. Like they gotta commute to come see me. At this time, my oldest son Now was 8. My daughter was probably like maybe like 10 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was 8 months. Sorry, he was 8 months. And my daughter maybe was like 10. So they would get together with my mom and drive down to South Jersey. And I'm just feeling stupid, man. I felt like the stupidest guy in the world because I'm putting my family through, some hardships that I could have avoided for them.
Did you ever think about to that moment when your dad wanted you to be in at 10 o'clock?
I should have.
No, I'm serious. Sometimes we be in them situations and we rewind the tape and be like, I wish I could have listened.
You know what's weird? Like I didn't think about it that way at the time. I
Mm,
was still kind of rationalizing and blaming others,
mm,
stuff like that. I'm like, man, I should have made a left when I made a right. Like,
yeah.
and that's what I'm thinking. Oh, I should have got off the parkway at a different exit, something like
Mm.
that. Like things like that. That's not down to the actual foundation of the problem. You know what I'm saying?
At what moment in there did it hit you that the Most High set all of this up?
Yeah. Now we're talking. Little more details, right? One of my best friends that I told you that I met in science high school.
Mm-hmm.
How the police got led to me is because he got into some legal issues, right? And instead of facing his consequences, you know what people do, it was him, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So from him doing that, that's what led them to investigate me and to lock me up. So I
Mm.
was mad at him for a long time. Like I was mad at him for a long time, and then I realized like it wasn't him at all. This was the Most High using him to get to me.
Mm.
Him to put me in a position where I'm forced to sit down and focus now because I had a somewhat of a belief like my parents like they're not really the biggest religious people, like don't get me wrong, they might go every now and then, or they, I went to church a few times in my childhood for certain events or whatever, but I really started going to really at 18 started going to church on my own. So
Mm-hmm.
I was dabbling a little bit, but never really taking it too serious. And then, unfortunately, I found this. Not unfortunately, fortunately, I found this church, but
Mm-hmm.
or the Gathering of Christ Church. But
Mm-hmm.
after I got baptized, I still had one foot in the door and one foot out the door. I was trying
Mm.
to transition out of the lifestyle, but it's hard. And I'm not making an excuse. I should have did it more willfully because I know the God that I serve. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's where I was at. I was struggling to fully transition out of the lifestyle. So I felt like the Most High was like, yo, all right, you can't do it on your own. Now I got to intervene so that you can fully step out. Because I had
Mm.
the opportunity to do it on my own, and I caught myself slowing down, doing less, and all that stuff. But that's nonsense. I'm rationalizing in my own mind. Like, you got a decision to stop, take advantage. But I didn't fully do it. So I felt like he used that situation to sit me down and to give me the focus.
And what did you do in terms of focusing? Like, what changed in your behaviors and stuff?
In jail,
Yeah.
literally, all I did literally was study and exercise.
Mm.
That's it. So my wife was getting um, lessons from Deacon Aaron after class because she was still going to church, of course, when I was in jail. And she would mail them to me, right? And I would get a chance to like look over the Sabbath lessons and read them and study. Um, a lot of the people, a lot of the people in the church were sending me books and stuff like
Mm.
that. So I had like a little collection of books. From studying, I started to take like mad notes and things like that to where when I got released, I had a file like this thick
Mm.
with all like my studies, right? So because I was around like a lot of people of the Islamic faith, I started breaking Islam down to a point where now today I have like a document on that showing like the inconsistencies and things like that in reference to it, to help our people understand what we're really dealing with when we deal with other religions outside of the true God. All right, so
Mm.
I studied for 2 years, and I couldn't tell you how many push-ups and pull-ups I did, but that's what helped me pass the time.
Indeed. So then you get released and you come home. now you're on fire working for the Most High. Like,
Absolutely.
how did it feel to be out there and being at what you had just been through?
Vindicated. Felt
Mm,
it started. It put all the pieces of the puzzle together for me. You know, like this is why I went through all that. This is why all of this happened, because the Most High was trying to transition me to be this product when I was fighting against him, trying to be something else outside of my purpose. So now
mm,
like I'm walking in my purpose now, right? And that's the headline from the pain, right? And all of that leading up to prison and just feeling like trash because I put my family in a bad situation. Now to
mm-hmm.
establish my purpose, and that's what my purpose looked like right there on the screen.
You involved in several ministries, man. You do street preaching. Let's talk about that first. Um, I always not only marveled at the fact of the patience that you guys show when y'all out there. I came out a couple times into a I found a ministry of me going to speak about my alcohol abuse.
Mm.
How do you how long did it take you to develop the patience of people just walking by you not wanting to be interested and you still got to stand there and get to the next person?
Street preaching make it forces you to be okay with rejection, because
Mm,
you might talk to 100 people and one might stop.
mm,
But I would always tell the brothers, like, look, I don't care if we talk to 1,000 people. If we can get to one, we did our job today. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So um, you get different kind of responses. You get hecklers. You get people who want to be loud and saying that you don't know what you're talking about. But I've seen sometimes even that lead other people to you based on how you handle that particular situation, right? So it definitely makes you to be patient. It definitely helps you to work on your communication skills. It forces you to be well versed, because you're dealing with random people, so you have no idea what they're gonna come up to talk to you about. But
mm.
whatever it is that they are coming to either ask you about or speak to you about, I got to be able to open this book, right, and point to your situation. So that means I got to know my stuff, right? I have to study just so that I'm prepared for the random person that walks by with a random question. So, yeah, it's a lot of preparation into it, also.
Obviously, you street preached up North Jersey a lot, especially in your hometown.
Yeah.
How did you deal with being ridiculed by people you knew, family members, different things, different people of that nature in terms of your beliefs, you being in a cult, this and this, blah blah blah. Like, how did, especially at your age, you're not like me being in my 40s and something. I'm past all of that. Like, it don't really matter. But in my 30s and stuff like that, like late 20s, early 30s, like, what kind of mindset did you have to be able to still stay on this road with all that coming at you?
So, just for context, let me see. I've been with the church now, and I think this summer will be 10 years, right? So,
All praises to the Most High.
I'm 36. I really started hitting the streets heavy, maybe like 29, 30, maybe something
Mm,
like that.
mm-hmm,
Probably no later than like 31. I would say
mm-hmm,
probably like 30, because got out of prison at, I think I was, yeah, I don't even remember. I think it might have been like 30. Might have been like 30. So then might have been 29. So yeah, so anyway, just right around like between like 29 and like 30 is when we really started like going out a lot. So based on the lifestyle that I had, and I'm in my own city, I know a lot of people there, right? Because as I
mm-hmm,
mentioned, through basketball, we playing AU, we go on the park leagues, we and at the courts, like around the city, we know a lot of people. And then I went to school there. I went to Essex County. I went to Rutgers. I went to college there. So I've formulated a lot of relationships with people. I work downtown. I own two businesses downtown. So it was like relationship development was my whole life. So now when they see me preaching, they're like, "Yo, ain't you the guy that I just
yeah.
I was just smoking with, or I just bought this from, or wasn't you the guy that was over there acting crazy like last year or whatever?" Yeah, that was me.
Mm,
Now this is what the Most High led me to. So I started to use it as an example. Like I try to use
Hmm.
myself as an example. Like you don't gotta feel stuck in your situation because you can break free from that. A lot of people they feel like they have to sell drugs, they have to be in the streets because it's the only option, you know. But I try to use myself and my story as an example. Like yo, you can overcome that if you put your mind to it, if you put the work in.
What opened your eyes up to wanting to be or coming to the understanding that you was an Israelite, and how important do you think that is for our people to get the knowledge of?
I think it's absolutely important. What actually, because like I said, me, like myself and my family, we would go to like the Christian church and feel like unfulfilled, kind of like it just was like theatrics kind of to me.
Mm.
And it's like I'm not there for that. So one day, my wife went to church with a few people, and mind you, I'm still running the streets, I'm still doing whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, all right, I'll see you when you get back.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm about to go ahead and do my business. But she came back so excited. So what happened? She said, Malcolm, this church, they actually read the Bible. All they did was speak about the Bible. And I'm like, nah, no, they didn't. They wasn't jumping around and, doing backflips and all of this stuff. Like they was actually studying and reading the Bible. She was like, yeah, I never saw anything like it before. I said, okay.
Mm.
I got to go check that out now. So it might have been like the next week or maybe like 2 weeks later, some short period of time. I went to the church. It was in New York at the time. This was in 2015, I want to say, yeah. And then I saw exactly what she was explaining to me.
Hmm.
And we was like shocked. I'm shocked because I'm like, yo, I just don't know what that is. I'm not used to that going to church. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
It's more so a production to make you feel good. It's not necessarily to teach you. But I was like, yo, I was being taught some stuff that I never even heard of or knew of that day. So
Mm.
I just kept going back. Once I actually started getting fed, like spiritually, I never stopped going to this day. And I
Mm.
think it's so important for us as a people to know who we are according to the Bible, right? Because now you understand again what your purpose is, right? Because we
Mm.
all have a particular God-given purpose, but if we're thrown off or if we're not able to identify what that purpose is, you'll never be able to fulfill it.
Mm. How do you handle, um, especially being on the street preaching, being that people from where you from know who you are, your family know who you are? How you? Because I know sometimes I run into the stigma of people seeing certain videos on YouTube and they think all Israelite churches or camps is the same thing. And a lot of times I gotta say I'm an Israelite, but I say non-radical. So they understand that like I'm not part of that type of camp or their beliefs. How do you handle the stigma of when you say that you're Israelite, the first thought that comes to people's minds?
Um, I try to when it gets to that point, I try to allow them to use me as an example. So it's like
Mm.
I'm not cursing you out. I'm not
Mm.
yelling at you. I'm talking to you with respect, right? Trying
Mm-hmm.
to educate you on your history. And a lot of times, like even like online and stuff like that, you'll get people to utilize certain prejudices. If you prejudging somebody thinking you know what they're about before you give them the opportunity to explain themselves to you, that's a prejudice, right? So I'm like, you can't make blatant statements like that and not understand who it is or what I represent because some different camps they represent certain things. So they'll be like, "Oh, you think this, you think that." You don't know what I think because you didn't give me the chance to tell you, right? So then that's when the patients come in, as you mentioned. That's when you have to allow your walk to speak for you, right? So we have to get to a point where our actions can kind of tell our story so that we can get past some of the ideas that people may have of us. What's your example?
Mm. Indeed. Now move over to another ministry you involved in, and this is not for you to like you want credit for it or anything, because all praises go to the Most High. But you and your wife started the homeless ministry, and I was fortunate enough through the Most High to be able to help you guys out. What prompted you guys to want to go that route?
Um, initially, my wife again, she our son he came he fell one day, right,
Mm-hmm.
and he injured his leg.
Mm-hmm.
So we praying for him, trying to hope that everything's okay with him and things like that. But and I'm still like this to this day. We're in a mindset like we don't want to pray to the Most High, come empty-handed, right?
Mm.
Like, we don't want to keep asking the Most High for something and not doing something for Him, right?
Mm.
It becomes a one-way street then, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So then she started, independent of the church. One of her friends, they went downtown North one day with maybe like, this was very early, maybe like 10 sandwiches, 15 sandwiches, right? And just tried to pass it out. And over time, maybe like 2 or 3 times she would go with a friend, but now like they would go like in the afternoon. But
Mm.
now it's like, okay, you're trying to go in this nighttime. I don't want you out there at night by yourself with
Mm-hmm.
strangers. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So then I started going instead,
Mm.
so that she wouldn't have to be out there. You stay, what I'm saying, with the kids. I'll go handle this, so you can continue trying to offer something to the Most High together. So after I went, maybe like a few times or whatever the case may be, she like, yo, I don't know, you should be going out there by yourself at night with these people because we had no idea who they was. She was like, what if they try to take your food or hurt you or something like that? So she started getting a little paranoid too. So at that time, one of our brothers and officers had just recently joined the church, and we came to find out that we lived like around the corner from each other,
All
pretty
praises. All praises.
away from each other. So, Brother Adrian, I spoke to him one day, and he was like, "Man, I would love to go with you." Right?
Mm.
He actually said, and I always appreciate his humility. He said, "Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm not
Yeah.
allowing anything. You're taking the steps to step up and to help progress this ministry." So I'm like, "You thinking me? I'm thinking you. You help
It
me
did. It
think,
did.
like
It
So
did.
it started rocking out. Like we was going twice a week on the two of us for maybe like weeks, right? And then another brother came, and then another brother came, and it just kept growing. And
All
now
praises.
like around like 5 years, I think 4.5 years,
All praises.
for
That's
five
dope.
years, and we never turned back. So once the brother started coming on, I pitched it to the church as a whole, right? So
Mm.
let's really scale this thing. Like, what I'm saying? Let's make it to where we can serve as many people as we can. Because again, at this time, we was paying for everything out of pocket. But the one thing about Penn Station is when you go at different seasons, you get different amount of people. So like in the winter,
Mm.
people might be more like in a shelter somewhere or something like that. It's not as many people out. But when you get to the summer, everybody's outside. So we went from needing like 10, 20 sandwiches to like 100, 150 sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're fronting this out of pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yo, okay, these expenses are starting to pile up. Let's see if we can get more people involved so that we can supply the demand. You know what I'm saying? And then
All
for
praises.
the church, we got a bunch of people, including yourself. Praise the Most High. Thank you,
All
sir.
praises to the Most High, bro. Yeah. I am
Um,
on nine.
and now we're rolling.
Now, in closing with you, in terms of the church, we have Bible study Mondays and Fridays, 8 p.m. And we have extensive lessons on the Shabbat class on Saturday, on the Sabbath. How much studying and reading does it require for you to be able to help maintain this type of teaching?
Just following your title of the show, Pain and Purpose, I
Uh,
sharpened my sword in jail. The two
mm,
years that I was in jail, I promise you, all I did was study. So I retained a lot of that information
mm,
then. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, the more
uh,
your memory increases, the more the most high pour into you, because it's not about us. All we are is mouthpieces. You know what I'm saying? All we
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
delivering the word from the most high. But for me, it started in jail. Like, don't get me wrong, I was in church before then, but I wasn't at I don't want to say a scholarly level, but I wasn't at a position to really regurgitate the information properly to teach somebody else. But during that time, that's when I was able to begin doing that. And then I started doing Bible study with Hyman. One day we was together and said, "Yo, man, I need you." I said, "For what? What's going on?" I said, "I need you to read for me for Bible study." So I started Bible study just as the reader. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for maybe like 2 years, and he was teaching. And then it got to a point where we changed the structure of Bible study, and our deacon said, "Hey, I need you to host. I need you to host a Bible study."
Mm.
So we got some brothers together to host a Bible study, and that's the product that we see today. I think that has been going on for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
The format that it was before, we used to just read the Bible. I'm saying read it page by page, and we'll talk about what it's saying. But now we put actual lessons together to try to edify on a certain topic. And as you mentioned, from teaching the Sabbath class, that was another thing to where, it wasn't my idea. Deacon came to me maybe last year, said, "Hey, we need, a brother to teach the Sabbath lessons with
Mm-hmm.
Officer Rob, with Deacon Aaron." He said, I want it to be you. So he says, "I need you to teach Sabbath class every second Sabbath of the month. So every second week." I know that that's my week now, but it started when the Most High set me down to focus, and
Mm.
I'm seeing the fruit of that today. And the more you do something, the better you get at it.
Now, like in our church, the people there that's bringing the lessons, they gotta have a regular job. You know what I mean? Like we ain't one of them where they have the church, the pastor don't gotta work. He don't got, you know what I'm saying? So the Most High brought you full circle from a person that was hurting in community with drugs to somebody that's on the other end. How did you get into that, and what does this mean to you to be a drug and alcohol counselor?
When I got released from prison, I think this was what, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, I was going on 30. No, I was 30. Um, I was desperate because I was going for 2 years, right? And I like come home and the bills is piling up, right? So it's like, man, I got to do something to help my wife, help my family, put food on the table, so on and so forth. So I literally started applying. Like I went on ZipRecruiter. And ZipRecruiter, once you upload your resume, you can apply for like 100 jobs at one time. I'm going down the list. Apply, apply, apply. I'm not even
Mm.
reading what it's for. I don't care what kind of job it is. At this time, I had already had a master's degree. I'm applying for warehouse jobs. I'm applying for any kind of job, knowing I'm even overqualified for it based
Mm-hmm.
on the education that I was able to accomplish, praise the Most High. But I didn't care about none of that. All of that was irrelevant to me. I just need something to help pay these bills and put money on it and put food on the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could apply for 100 jobs, and I got 99 no's, Mike. Like I could have
Wow.
say for 1,000 jobs, and I got 999 no's. They would even flirt with me a little bit because I know how to put a resume together. But once they'll see my background, my criminal background, I wouldn't get to the next phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a testimony to anybody that may be listening or hear this in the future. It don't matter how many no's you get, right? All that matters is the one yes. The one yes.
Mm.
So we got to be resilient. We got to make sure that we, stay diligent in what we're trying to do, because the one yes that I have was a small business, right? Sea Line Counseling Center. Lady, I will be very always appreciative of her, Ms. Nelson. She gave me a chance.
Wow.
She gave me a chance. She interviewed me. First, I talked to her. We didn't really even go over my history as far as criminal history. I don't even know if she did a background check. I don't know.
Mm.
Didn't prompt her to do so, but she was more so trying to learn about me. She took the time to try to learn and understand me, and then she saw that I had some educational background, and she said, "Okay, Malcolm, I need an office manager,
Mm.
and you're hired. You start on Monday, right?" So I mean, I literally could have did backflips out the office, right?
Wow.
I'm just happy to go home and tell my wife, "Babe, I got a job now. I can start on Monday." so we can start getting our affairs together, right? Our situation together. But over time, I started learning. Now I was an office manager at a counseling center. But
Mm-hmm.
over time, once you get a certain amount of internship hours, you can
Mm-hmm.
begin to be an intern counselor. So after like 2 years, 2.5 years, my boss, she was like, "Yo, you got enough time? Like, what's going on?" So I said, "You know what? Let's fill the application out." So by
Mm.
filling the application out with the state of New Jersey, it allowed for me to start actually doing counseling. And at the beginning, I was just doing it because it was a need. It was help. It was a help to the company. But as I was going through the process, I realized, okay, the Most High put me here for this purpose, right?
Mm.
And I got so many no's, but this was the one yes, and the one yes allowed me to actually use my job also as a platform to teach people about who they are, as far as the Bible and all of that stuff too.
Mm.
Did I get a job? But now I can minister to people in the process. Because as you know, with the 12 steps and all of that stuff like that, like step two, I gotta give myself over to a higher power. I have to realize that my life is unmanageable and I have to focus on
Mm-hmm.
something to bring me back to sanity, right? So now I could use that to inject. I don't want to say religion, but to inject some level of spirituality into people, and that can open the door to have different kind of conversations. So now I have people walking in the door sometimes telling me that they're Israelite.
Mm.
One of my
I know.
coworkers,
I be saying that now too. I
yeah,
see that now. I see that now when I'm at work. I see that now when I'm at work.
one of
When they
my
see me with my
coworkers is
go
Israelite.
ahead, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm
What you
sorry.
say?
One of my coworkers was an Israelite. He asked me what I believed in, and we didn't really know each other that well. And I told him, I said, "Yeah, I'm a Christian, but not quite like you might think." So
Uh-huh.
by him hearing that, right, he just pulled up his shirt and showed me his fringes. I said, "Oh, shalom, bro. How you doing?" He picked up on what I was trying to say, but I was trying to be like politically correct because I didn't want
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kick
I
in the door
understand.
like I'm an
Yeah,
Israelite. But
yeah. Um, what do you think is the toughest part in terms of because I'm in the same profession of people staying sober and clean. What do you think is like the toughest battle you deal with your clients and the rate of them relapsing and coming back and things of that nature? What you think the toughest part is?
mental health. I think
Mm,
situating a mental health is one of the biggest things, because that is what leads to for the most part, the inconsistencies. Although I do believe it's a decision. So we
mm-hmm,
talk about cognitive decision making, cost benefit analysis, looking at those kind of things is very important. But I think if the mental health is not in order, they'll begin to self medicate. Um,
mm,
they'll begin to excuse their own behavior, right? Because they'll give themselves that room or that leeway because, oh, I'm dealing with anxiety, or I'm dealing with depression, or I'm dealing with
mm,
diagnosis or that diagnosis. So what I like to try to do, before I even get to really like substance use, really per se in counseling, I'll try to address all of the others ancillary needs before we get to there. So some people would say, "Hey, man, I'm having financial trouble, and because I'm depressed, I drink a lot or whatever the case may be." Okay, so let's help you find a job. Or some people,
mm,
I can't get here to get the treatment I need because I can't. I don't have money to get on the bus. Okay, so we're going to sign you up for monthly bus cards. We're going to give you bus tickets. We're going to have people pick you up and bring you here, just so that that's no longer an excuse. So the things that people are saying is their issues in receiving treatment, I try to attack those first, and then once all of that is out the way, right, you have no excuse now. Now,
indeed,
like,
indeed,
okay,
indeed.
so now this is the last part. What are we going to do about these drugs? Don't tell me you're looking for a job if you can't pass a drug test. Don't tell me you know this or that if you can't focus enough to actually accomplish your goals. So I think the hardest part is mental health, and then getting people to understand their value, right? Because they may
Mm,
they're not worthy enough to have a good life, or
mm-hmm,
that nature. But it's like, yo, we might have to take the first month of knowing somebody just to build up your confidence, just to try to show you some value in what you're telling me. So we got to build up confidence, self-efficacy, all of these different things to get a person even in a position to receive treatment, to feel like they should be able to progress and live a productive life. So value and mental health. I think that's very important.
Now let's go to the other side of it, and it's a two-part question
Okay.
because I know I experienced this, and you being in this field, I know you have experience. Question, first part: what's that feeling when you looking at that client while he's still working with you, and then you see in their eyes that it clicked? You know what I'm talking about? Like, they got it, they understand. Describe that feeling from your aspect.
It's everything. It is everything, and then it's like, okay, this was the purpose of me being here.
Mm.
The purpose is being fulfilled, and it's almost like a celebration with me
Uh,
when we start getting negative urine screenings. Like, because now,
yeah.
yes, I did it, and I'm right there high fiving them, like, yo, you did a great job. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, yo, you couldn't do this without sitting down and focusing and dedicating yourself to it. And I had to learn, like I had to transition my own thinking because I would feel like if the client fell, I fell with them.
Yeah, you thought it was on you. Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I'm feeling like, okay, because you succeeded, I succeeded with you. Because now I feel like
Uh,
I helped you to accomplish your goal. And if I can't do that, I'm doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
how I personalize it. That's not always true because a person's going to do whatever they're going to do, regardless of what
Regardless, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you try to help them get to that point. So when a person come back a year later, right, and they clean and they like, yo, thank you, you helped me. No, you did it. I was just like, you took me along for the ride, but
All praises.
you know,
That
I,
was the second part of my question. When you see somebody after a time period, because I seen people that I work with in stores in different places, and just to see the glow on their face and see them with their families and their families looking at you, and they be like, and this one lady was like, "That's the guy I was telling you about. He did." And then I always tell them, "No, it was God. I just was a vessel. He just used me." You know what I mean? And you had the willingness, because that client gotta have a willingness to want to change. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir.
that's it. And now in closing,
Yes, sir.
talk about all of this transpires and how is Malcolm the husband and family man? Give me that person.
Well, like I detailed in a lot of my story, my wife was there a lot of the way.
Mm-hmm.
She had to endure a lot of my bad decision making,
Mm-hmm.
but she stuck with me the whole time
Mm-hmm.
because she saw, some potential. So I'm grateful, what I'm saying, for her and her dedication as well because my life would be totally different without her. So now in turn is that's my motivation to never put them in a situation where they're without their dad or without their husband or without her husband or without their head or without the person that's tasked to making sure that all is well. Like to me, my job is to make sure that everything is all right with them, right? Whether if it's my kids, my wife. So I dedicate myself to that. I pride myself on that, Mike, because I've been on the other side. Like I
Mm.
know what it felt like to be behind bars, feeling like the scum of the earth. Because I know they're struggling and I can't do nothing about it. When my job is to make sure that they don't have to go through that. So
Mm.
now it's like that's my motivation. And that's another thing with the clients I try to get them to do is to establish your motivation, right? Because now that gives you, once again, your purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
now that's my purpose is to make sure, that they have, an example that they have a dad, a husband in their life to help guide them through whatever it is that, we may experience.
How important is it for them to see you operating in the truth and for them to learn the lessons that the Most High have you teach them?
Hmm. So my my boys, as you know, they're like sponges.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes. A lot of the things like it's it's a sight because like when we pray like as a family, my son, he's saying the Lord's Prayer. My middle son, he's saying the Shema. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
They're taking the lead in praising and singing. They'll pick the songs that we're going to sing,
mm,
at prayer time and things like that. So instilling these things in them is, vital. They look forward to tabernacle and
mm,
understand, why we're doing it and, the purpose of it. They're looking forward to Passover right now. Like they've been talking about going to Passover for months. And luckily, we
That's
get close
dope.
a couple of weeks away, so I can kind of start the countdown with them and stuff like that. But it's totally necessary because that's what the scripture tells us to do, right? Tell us to teach the next generation, so
Mm,
not only they can be stronger than we are in the spirit, but that they can be better because they was born in this truth. They didn't
mm,
the process that I went through of filtering my behaviors through streets and then having that revelation and then turning to the Most High. That's all they know. So it
mm.
could be that much more powerful because they don't know nothing else.
That's
So very
dope. That's dope. All right. In closing, bro, I always give people a chance to give shout outs to people that in their life that help them get from the pain to their purpose, man. So here you go down the list of the people that you wish to thank, man. Let them know how you feel about them.
Mm, absolutely. I'll start off with my parents because it all started with them.
Mhm.
Of
Mhm.
course, they even to this day through my hardships, through my struggles, they never blinked. You know what I'm saying? They always showed me an example of what being loving parents
Mhm.
is. So now in transition, although it's a little different because I have a bunch of boys, I gotta
Mhm.
be a little, I don't want to say rougher, you know what I'm saying? But I have to be a little more disciplined with my boys to make sure that they're, straight. But my parents always gave me an example of a two-family household and what love is, right?
Mm.
And I did provide that for my kids and my family as well. Got to give a shout out again to my wife. Like I said, she's seen me at my worst and at my stupidest of decisions.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Even this time when she was like, "No, no, don't be back later," and then I come
uh-huh.
back later with like a catastrophe. She like
Uh-huh.
saw that this wasn't a good idea from the beginning, but I had to take some lumps to get my perspective to be where it is now. So
Mhm.
I'm not like ashamed or regretful of it because that helped me shape me to be who I am now. But I definitely gotta thank her. She's a great mom, and she's dedicated to my children, and she's a big part of as you mentioned, getting them spirituality and them growing in the truth. Like couldn't do it without her because half the time I'm at work, I'm doing the works. So the household or the stability and the maintaining of the household, we need our women to be strong women in order to do so. And she's been just that over all of this time. After that, as I mentioned, my director, Ms. Nelson, she took a chance on me to help
Mm.
uh, stabilize myself and my family. And I know the Most High, was behind all that because where I started there to where I am now is like it's like night and day. Like
That's
um,
dope. Yeah, I
my
love it.
responsibilities, my pay, my position, all of that stuff has been increased so much over the last 5 years that like if I told you, you probably wouldn't believe that I can go from one
All praises.
the spectrum to the other so fast. You know what I'm saying? And then I would like to think the church also.
Mm.
They also helped me transition. Aaron, Tazada, Hyman, a lot of
Mm.
the brothers, Adrian, Dawada, a lot of the brothers, that I labored with, and we helped me to gain insight that we studied together.
Mhm.
With it all matters. All of those people that were sending me books and lessons and stuff like that when I was in jail. Like I'm grateful for all of that. So and I'm pretty sure there's many more people. But I would say when it comes to the church, for anybody who have an opportunity, right, it is life changing.
Mm.
Literally life changing because not only did my perspective change, my understanding of the Bible change, but also my diet changed, my health changed. You know,
Mm.
your interaction with people change, your patience change. Like it literally causes you to address so many facets of your life for the better. And with the Most
That's
High being
right.
involved, He can use the church and the Bible as a vehicle to help transition you from one position to the next. It gives us our identity, gives us our heritage to know who we truly are. We're growing up as Black and Latinos. We've been lied to for so long. We've been misled, deceived. The system has been against us for so long that this is our breakthrough. This is our freedom. This is our awakening right here, and it comes through the Bible and through the Most High. So for those who thinking it's cold or they mean or aggressive, listen, you just met the wrong ones. So
Mm.
come over, you know what I'm saying, to GOCC, and we'll show you how it's really done. Because the scripture tell you an Israelite is one with no guile, right? Guile is hate. So we can't operate with hate. We can't operate with any of those things that you may see displayed, because then they're not really dealing with Christ.
Tell people how they could get in contact with, or like the GOCC YouTube page,
Mm-hmm.
a gathering. Give out some of that information, the
Mm-hmm.
church location, just for people that's watching.
So we would always suggest, or for me, when I go out street preaching, right, my goal is to get people to Bible study, right, so
Mm.
that we can continue to grow, and at least to get them to our YouTube page, because then you have direct access to our elders who lead our church. The YouTube page is A Gathering 144.
Mm.
On Yahoo. Even some of our members now currently, that's how they got linked to the church, by going to a gathering and just going in the comments, talking to people, because usually it's hundreds of people in the comments. So,
Mm-hmm.
so one brother Emmanuel, he went in and said, "Hey, I'm looking for the church in New Jersey." My wife actually saw him type it in the comments, and she told him how to go about getting there, like
Mm.
how to go about getting linked with the leadership, man. So a gathering 144 is a great way. If anybody has access to a member, you can ask them for a Bible study link. Like it's I can't even. Let me see if I can actually provide the Bible study link real quick, because YouTube. I'm sorry, not YouTube.
No,
Zoom.
what I'll do is in the comment section of this video, I'll put the Bible study link in the,
Okay, that's perfect.
yeah, I'll
Okay.
put the Bible study link in the comment section of the video. Um, all right, brother, I want to thank you for coming on. As you know, we gotta go. I gotta go get changed to get ready for the King's brunch. So, I mean, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I'm gonna cut up this joint. I'm gonna send you the clips, and
Okay.
I'm gonna flood social media with the clips, man. And thank you for coming on, sharing from your pain to purpose, brother. I want to appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me, Mike. So, bless you, brother. Keep working, man. This is a great platform that you have, sir. You have the ability to touch a lot of people. Keep working, sir. Thank you for having me.
And do it indeed. I'll see you. I'll see you in about an hour, brother. Shalom.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Yeah, man. I was the brother Malcolm, man. Great story. Tune in next week as I have another special guest coming on from the Pain and Purpose podcast. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Shalom.